So what does PTE and saving taxes have to do, and what are they in common? Well, I'm talking about the PTE, which is the pass-through taxes that Arizona has provided for in 2022 and beyond. Hi, this is Chuck Thornton, CPA with RC Thornton Accounting Group, and I'm up here in Prescott, Arizona. Some of you may recognize that, a little cooler than the Phoenix area. And we're going to talk just for a moment about the tax savings that you can have. So we're going to talk first of all about what is this PT tax, why do you care, and then who does it apply to. Back several years ago, there was a limitation put on itemized deductions, real estate taxes, income taxes, and those limitations were referred to as assault limitations, $10,000. So therefore, if you had $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 worth of other state taxes, you weren't going to get a deduction for them. And that rule still exists right now. So the states got pretty busy figuring out how they can work around it. And Arizona, thank you Arizona, is one of the 11 states in the country that has done this, and it's been sanctioned by the Internal Revenue Service to do it at the same time. So how does this work? What happens is if you have a pass-through entity, which is going to be both entities that are LLCs, that are treated as partnerships, or if it's going to be a subchapter S corporation, you can elect to have the taxes for the state paid at the entity level. The result of that is your income is reduced so that the taxable income from that entity is reduced by the amount of the state taxes. So if you had state tax liability at the entity level of $40,000 as an example, your income is reduced $40,000. The result of this is like getting a deduction for $40,000. A lot more to it than what I'm saying, but just that's the gist on it. Here's the issue that some of you are going to need to be thinking about by September 15th. The state, although we're excited they put this together, and they're one of the 11 in the country that did this, the question really becomes is, what do you do with your third quarter estimates coming up September 15th? Many of you are already paying state estimates individually for Arizona. And you had not been paying that for the entity because at that time, nothing's come out on this. The state finally came out and said, okay, you don't have to pay the estimates at the state level for the first 2 quarters. However, you will for the third quarter, presuming they have the electronic filing available. And since they did not for the first 2 quarters, they're waiving any penalties for purposes of not paying estimates. But September 15th is around the corner, and nothing's been said yet from the state on the electronic filing. And yes, there are forms that you can actually send this money in on September 15th. But clearly the forms say if you owe more than $1,000, you're supposed to use electronic filing, which they don't have right now. So what do we do? Well, we can make this quite an exercise, being CPAs, going through doing all these calculations. But I think there's an easy solution, but it's not a guaranteed solution. And that is if you're paying state estimate taxes individually in September, and you had these pass-through entities that are generating that taxable income, we're suggesting to many clients that you just simply refrain from paying that third quarter estimate. And unless Arizona last minute comes out with how you can file these things electronically, that you just simply don't file the third quarter estimate. Now, for the entities, this is all going to get reconciled when we do your tax planning by December 31st. And by then, we will have you paying your taxes at the entity level so that you can get advantage of this. So what's the risk on all this? The risk is if the state happens to come out with a process for this by September 15th, which we're questioning whether they would, and if you don't pay the estimate taxes, maybe there'll be a penalty in this scenario. We think that the penalty you might get may well be abatable, no guarantee on that, but we think you'll probably spend more with us, accounting fees, trying to figure this all out when several months later we're going to be doing your tax planning and we'll wind up figuring it out all over again. So for people with pass-through entities, if you're willing to accept there might be a small penalty here, you could refrain from paying your third quarter Arizona taxes, and then what you could do is you could refrain from anything for the entity, and we can catch it all up by December 31st. If you have any questions, give us a call at RC Thornton Accounting Group, and we're signing off. Thanks.